the UK's Online Safety Bill, which is now passed into law. Believe you me, this bill has some absolutely ridiculous proposals in it that, if they become law, are going to ruin the internet as we know it. So, I'm going to explain what the bill is and then why it's a really bad idea. The bill could require platforms to weaken encryption and monitor all user content, including private messages, to identify illegal or harmful content. This could undermine and twin encryption used by platforms like WhatsApp and Signal, exposing users' private conversations to surveillance. Intrusive age verification measures, like requiring users to upload ID, could lead to the collection and misuse of personal data. Okay, so first of all, let me explain what the Online Safety Bill is. It's essentially a new law that will make big tech companies take down illegal content from their platforms. Now, this sounds like a good idea, right? No one wants sick content online. But the problem with this is that there's no real definition of what illegal content actually is. And it's quite vague because in the eyes of the government, illegal content can be anything that they don't like. So it includes things such as misinformation or content that could harm someone's mental health. For example, images of thin people could cause body image issues for people who are overweight. So under the Online Safety Bill, these tech companies would be forced to remove these sorts of images from their platforms. But even if the definition was perfect, and it only included things like child abuse images or terrorist videos, the proposal still sucks because the way that these companies are supposed to do it is through censorship. They want to force tech companies to censor your speech based on a list of topics that the government decides is not allowed. This isn't going to be done through technology. There's going to be humans looking at posts and deciding whether they should be removed or not. Take YouTube, for example. If YouTube were to have humans looking through videos and deciding whether they should be taken down or not, well, obviously that would involve taking down videos and demonetizing creators who go against the government's agenda. And it's pretty scary when you think about it like that. The most important thing to note about this law is that it is not just directed towards big tech companies like Facebook or Twitter or Google. It also applies to smaller websites. In fact, it applies to basically any website that hosts user-generated content. If you have a forum on your website where users post things, and you have more than 50,000 users every month, then this law will apply to you. So if you run a small website with a forum, then you're going to have to hire people to constantly moderate the posts on your forum to make sure that there's nothing that the government would deem illegal. Otherwise, you'll get fined. And these fines can be as high as £40 million or 3% of the company's annual turnover, whichever is higher. These fines will only increase the more serious the offense is. So if you're a small website owner and you don't take down something that's deemed illegal within the required time frame, then you could be hit with a fine of up to £40 million. That's enough to put many small businesses out of business. But the crazy thing is that the burden of proof will be on the website owner, meaning that the government doesn't need to prove that you did something wrong. You'll need to prove that you didn't do anything wrong. The way that this is going to work is that there will be a regulator, an official body called the Online Safety Commissioner, which will oversee all of these laws and make sure that big tech companies are complying with them. This commissioner will have the power to issue fines directly to websites. So if the commissioner thinks that a website hasn't taken down illegal content fast enough, they'll be able to fine them without the involvement of a court. If a website owner wants to fight this fine, they'll have to go to a specialist court for media regulation, which will cost them even more money. Basically, this law makes it incredibly hard for small website owners to defend themselves against claims that they haven't been taking down illegal content fast enough. One of the other major problems with this bill is that it creates a legal obligation for tech companies to share encryption keys with the government, meaning that the government could use these keys to read messages and view photos that you send over messaging apps. So if you use WhatsApp or Signal or iMessage, the government will have access to everything you see and everything you send. Another major problem with this law is that it means that the government can force tech companies to hand over your data. So if you've posted something that the government deems illegal, then they can demand that Facebook hands over your IP address and your personal information so that they can come after you. Now, I think you're starting to see the problem here. This isn't about protecting children. This is about control. The government wants to be able to control everything you see and say online. The Online Safety Commissioner is going to be an unelected body with huge amounts of power. They'll be able to fine websites millions of pounds simply because a human moderator accidentally left a post up that they didn't like. It also means that big tech companies will be able to censor your speech and decide whether you get to keep your account or not based on a list of vague topics provided by the government. And that list of topics is likely going to expand over time. I mean, just look at what happened with the protests in the UK earlier this year. The Home Office wrote a letter to big tech companies telling them to remove content that was deemed to be, quote, harmful to the public interest. At the time, this just related to footage of police brutality. But it's likely that this list is going to expand to include anything that the government does and like. So if you post anything negative about the government, it's likely that it will be removed. This is already happening in China and Russia. It's literally how they control their populations and keep everyone in line. And now the UK government wants to do the same thing. The worst part is that this is all being done in the name of safety. They're trying to make the internet a safer place, but in doing so, they're making it a far less free place. It's ironic that something that's supposed to be making the internet safer is actually making it more dangerous. It's making it more dangerous because it's encouraging people to self-censor. It's encouraging people not to post controversial topics simply because they worry that they might get their account deleted or that they might get fined. In fact, now this law has passed. You've gone see a massive decline in people posting about politics and religion and other controversial topics. That's what happened in America after the Patriot Act. People became much more careful about what they posted online simply because they were scared of getting in trouble. The whole point of the internet is freedom of speech. It's a place where people can come together and discuss different opinions and ideas. The internet has allowed people to organize peaceful protests and fight back against corrupt governments. And now, the UK government wants to take that away. They want to turn the internet into a tool that they can use to control their population, to stop people from speaking out against them and to silence anyone who opposes them. As George Orwell said, if you want to picture the future, look at the present through the eyes of the powerful. And that's exactly what's happening here. The Online Safety Bill is a prime example of creeping totalitarianism. It's a law that's been introduced in the name of safety. But it's actually just a tool that the government can use to control and manipulate their population. So if you do and want to live in a future where you QA and speak your mind online, then you need to do something about it. You need to contact your MP and tell them that you oppose the Online Safety Bill. You can also support organizations like the Electronic Frontier Foundation or Liberty, which are fighting against this law. We need to stop this bill before it destroys freedom of speech. We need to stop this bill as the government turns the internet into a tool of oppression. Thank you for watching. I hope that cleared things up. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments down below, and I'll try and answer them. Thank you, bye.